Well, what got us interested in curiosity, especially in business, is what we saw in working with a lot of different companies and people inside businesses is that certain people and certain teams of people were outperforming other folks in these organizations. And certain people were more engaged in the day-to-day business and certain people were disengaged as well. And the more we started to dig into why we were seeing differences between those things, we kept coming back to this common thing, is that certain individuals were exhibiting a more curious nature in that organization and others weren't. So that's what really started us down this whole path, is how do we get more organizations to perform more consistently? And a lot of it took us right back to this thing called curiosity.
We often are invited to help try to grow teams, lead teams, work with teams, and from a foundational level, just as Michael said, we really found that curiosity was the linchpin to start to move people forward as we think about their growth, their performance, and how they contribute to the work environment overall, as well as their performance individually, and then of course the team.
Yeah, one of the interesting phenomena as you get into this is a lot of organizations would come to us and say, how do we develop better skills and behaviors of our people, or how do we take skills or behaviors that we're teaching them and get them to actually apply and learn those things? And a lot of it has to do with coaching. And as we started to dig into coaching, one of the things that we saw, unfortunately, is that most organizations are very poor or they coach very poorly. They don't develop skills very well in those organizations. So again, as we sort of dug into that whole issue, what we found is that certain teams or certain individuals that run teams were nurturing these skills and behaviors better than others. And when you started to pay attention to that, what you saw is they were creating a more curious environment for people to lean in, to learn more, to apply those things, safe environments to practice skills and succeed and fail. So they were creating more curiosity than other teams, and that was impacting their performance.
As we looked at how to measure curiosity, a lot of what we were finding was all self-report. So as we think about an opportunity and how you can start to identify those individuals with high levels of curiosity, there weren't great measures out there in a business environment. Most of those were really about personal well-being, certainly health, wellness, those types of measures. So in a business setting, how do you start to apply and look at curiosity differently? And as Michael said, curiosity and coaching, in one sense, go hand in hand. If we don't have good coaching, then the development of skills across our team is pretty difficult. But foundationally, we still come back to curiosity, and can we get those leaders more curious about their teams, and then those team members more curious about their customers? And we believe that's what really will lead to performance overall.
So the way we chose to approach this was in a very non-evasive but very predictable fashion. So we knew if we were going to measure this, we didn't want to take individuals out of the workplace and have them spend a whole lot of time and effort doing a variety of different types of tests. We also wanted to make sure that individuals couldn't game the testing that we were going to do. So we approached this from the point of natural language. And the more we started to look at the way people talk, the way they describe things, the words they use, the phrases they use, and how they actually dig in differently, we saw pretty quickly that natural language was not only a great way to measure curiosity, but it was the most accurate way to do that as well. And with that measurement, we have now started to create a correlation between their curiosity levels and performance. And what we're seeing is there's a direct correlation between curiosity levels and performance of individuals in teams and organizations as well.
Well, and I think you can't overlook engagement at a broader context as well. So as we look at the engagement crisis across most workplaces today, it's not just about performance at the individual level, but we also see it as a big tie around engagement in that work environment too.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, engagement's a big deal, and what we have found, unfortunately, is most businesses over the years have used process as a way to squeeze every last effort out of an individual inside of a business. So they've really focused on efficiency in business, and what they really lost sight of is effectiveness as well. So we do things very well, we do things in an efficient manner, and even though some of the measures tell us that we should be performing better, the reality is we're not, and the engagement's not following with it as well. So we've sacrificed effectiveness for efficiency, and a lot of that has to do with the environments that we create for people and how we let them lean in or nourish their curiosity in an organization.
It makes me think of, I'm working right now with a senior level team, And we're trying to transform the business. And what's interesting is they brought in new leadership. And when you talk to that new leader about the singular vision he has for that organization today, it's really about operational efficiency. We're not seeing anything in regards to how are we going to upskill the team? How are we going to coach? How are we going to lead? Especially given the transformation the IT and digital space is in right now. So part of what we're doing and part of our charge is how do we help create that? How do we help nurture that? Knowing that many of the leaders today that we work with come from a history of exactly what you're speaking to in regards to this TQM, operational efficiency, to some extent at all costs. How do we continue to squeeze that out of the business without necessarily thinking about what it does to the employee overall and our effectiveness?
Yeah, compound that with hierarchical organizations or a hierarchy that we've put in organizations, and that actually makes this even worse. So it exacerbates this whole issue. And what we have found is that when we work with organizations that are just more supportive or teams that are more supportive, they create better climates or better environments for curiosity to grow. So senior leader behavior is important here, and how they lead and manage that organization, whether it's more supportive or more hierarchical, that's going to impact their curiosity as well.